Welcome all in the today's lecture, that is lecture 3, and we will discuss about directive principles of state policy. In the previous lecture, we have studied about fundamental duties that are from Article 12 to Article 35 in our Indian Constitution, and from now onwards, we will learn about directive principles of state policy. This is contained from Article 36 to Article 51A or 51A also. It means our fundamental duties also contain in this section. This is very important section in our constitution from Article 36 to Article 51, because all the things which are contained in our constitution take the idea of formation from these directive principles of state policy. Okay, whatever the rules, whatever the regulations, what are the legislations the government passed, the idea behind that particular is taken from this section. Okay, or we can say that this section will guide all our constitution, or in the future also when we create any other laws for the country. There are three different principles here, like first one, socialist principle, Gandhian principles, and liberal principles. The articles contains in different type of sections. We will discuss in this lecture about these important articles. Not all the articles, but the important articles which will affect our lives, and we must have to know about that. So let's start our lecture today. As we all know, directive principles of state policy embodied in part 4. This is, as fundamental rights are contained in part 3, these principles are contained in part 4. And as we discussed earlier, these policies will direct the policy makers, the lawmakers, then how they create a law and what thing they should be kept in our mind. Okay, and the ideas of this policy are proposed by the preamble. They set forth the humanitarian and socialist instruction that were the aim of social revolution envisaged in India by the Constitution Assembly. Here, I want to clear one thing also that is important to know for this section. That is, this section, all the articles contained in these sections or everything in this section are non-justifiable in nature. As we have learned in the previous video that the fundamental rights are justifiable by court. Okay, these are non-justifiable in nature. You cannot claim these in the court. Okay. The state shall direct its policies in such a manner as to secure the right of all men and women to an adequate means of livelihood, equal pay, equality. It means all the rules related to education, survival, employment, all the things are covered in this section. Okay, and as the new rule, new law, new legislation will come into force, the policymakers must keep these things in the mind. This is covered. The next one, the state shall also endeavor to secure to workers a living wages, human conditions. We will discuss in the upcoming video. These things, all these things are covered in the articles which we are going to proceed in this next video. The directive principles may be classified under the following categories. There are three categories: ideals that the state ought to strive towards achieving, directions for the exercise of legislative and executive power, and the last one is rights of the citizens which the state must aim towards securing. These things must be kept in mind while forming any or while framing any law for future use. Now we will learn about some important articles which directly affect our lives, as here is article 39, that all the citizens irrespective of their gender, whether man or woman, shall equally have the right to adequate means of livelihood. It means any kind of job, there will be no any kind of discrimination that a man can do this job and a woman cannot be. Okay, Article 39 says, 39A says that all are equals in such a way that it fulfills the common goal. And all the resources and materials shall be distributed in such a way that it fulfills the common goal of the country. Part 4, Article 44. This is the very hot topic nowadays, that is UCC, Uniform Civil Code. This is contained in Article 44, which says that all over the India, there should be one common civil code throughout the territory of India. Next, Article 40. Article 40 says about village panchayats with some powers and authorities. As most of us are from villages, then the powers to given to panchayats and the panchayat elections, panchayat raj institutions, these all covered in Article 40. If anyone says that what is the power behind the villages pradhans also, that is Article 40. It is mentioned in Article 40. Next, Article 42. Article 42 seeks to ensure human work condition, and like other wages like maternity leaves, paternity leaves, and many more. These are covered in Article 42. Article 45 talks about the provisions of free and compulsory education for children. This is also mentioned in fundamental rights also, as by the 86th Constitution Amendment, that till the age of 14, this is the compulsory to provide education to the children. It's also mentioned in the fundamental duties, that is 11th duty. Next, Article 46, it says that the state shall promote with special care of educational and economic interest of the weaker section of the people, that is scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and other economic weaker sections. This is contained in Article 46. Now come to the Article 48. Article 48 talks about the Constitution of India in one of the directive principles which directs the state to make efforts of banning animal slaughtering of cows and calves. Okay, and to promote animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines. This is also mentioned in Article 48, that anyone cannot slaughter the cows and calves in any form. Article 49. Article 49 says of the Indian Constitution of India contains provisions relating to the state's obligation to protect cultural heritage. It's talk about cultural heritage and the Indian sites also, and to how to protect them. Next, Article 49 also protect about the protection of monuments and places and objects of national importance, mean national heritage also. This all covered in the Article 49. Now come to the Article 50. It states that the state must take the necessary step to separate the judiciary from the executive in the public services of the state. It means judiciary will be separate from this other services of the state. It will restrict the authorities' unfair use of their powers or provisions and promote the democratic form of government. Okay, this is all done in this lecture. And the next one is Article 51. Article 51A contains fundamental duties. We will cover these duties in the upcoming videos. Okay, class. Thank you. Prepare your good quality notes and keep in learning mode always. Thank you.